Well, I've always said that Angela has not only played a big part in Labour politics, in our country's politics, but it's got a big part to play in the future. That's not new. I said that on the day that she stepped down, and I don't doubt that that's true. She's certainly not dead yet.
Don't worry, we'll get some dancing music on soon, I promise. First, though, is the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner on manoeuvres. The Prime Minister is in some political trouble, and he may yet be in more still after what we just heard from Dan Needle about the latest allegations against Peter Mandelson. We'll hear more about that in an hour's time. But Angela Rayner's allies have told The Times this morning that the slow pace of the HMRC investigation into her tax affairs could scupper a return. Times Radio's political editor Anna Mikhailova has been speaking to the Prime Minister about Angela Rayner and joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Angela Rayner has made no secret of her desire to return to the front line of politics, and she's got a lot of supporters who want to see that happen. The Prime Minister told you he'd welcome that.
Yes, so Angela Rayner, as The Times reported, told activists in a private meeting recently that she is not dead yet, which obviously led to a lot of speculation about that, suggesting a leadership pitch. And I asked the Prime Minister directly about this. This is what he said. Last week, Angela Rayner joked that she's not dead yet. She's obviously been making a few interventions politically, very effectively too. Is it time for her to return to your cabinet?
Well, I've always said that Angela has not only played a big part in Labour politics, in our country's politics, but it's got a big part to play in the future. That's not new. I said that on the day that she stepped down, and I don't doubt that that's true. She's certainly not dead yet. She's got a huge contribution to make, and I look forward to her making it.
Do you want her back round the table, though?
Well, I would like to have Angela back at the right point, and I've always been clear that she's got a future role to play. She's a fantastic asset for the Labour Party. She played a huge part in the achievement that we got at the last election, getting elected. We just passed the Employment Rights Act, which has got her fingerprints all over it. And as I say, the day that she stepped down, I wrote to her and said that she will be a big voice in the future as well as the past.
Do you want her on the ground campaigning for you in Gordon and Denton?
I want everybody on the ground in the by-election, because it's going to be a straight vote between Labour and Reform. We will go as the patriots, renewing our country, inclusive, bringing our communities together. We know from the candidate that Reform have elected that they will take it into the gutter politics of divide and toxic division. So that's the choice. The only way to stop that toxic divide is to vote Labour, and the whole Labour movement will be out there making that case.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for speaking to Times Radio.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, Anna, he's obviously clear. He has a line there about Angela Rayner, and I mean that will please lots of supporters of Angela Rayner in the party. There is a great amount of affection for her. But the Prime Minister has significant problems, doesn't he? He's got the problem of people like Angela Rayner potentially coming in to challenge his leadership, and that May looks like the time when that might be the most dangerous. But this morning, we've heard from Dan Needle that there are allegations now against Peter Mandelson that make it look like a misjudgment for the Prime Minister not to have removed Labour membership from Peter Mandelson himself, and instead to have allowed Mandelson to do it late last night. Do you think there are more questions for Keir Starmer now on that particular issue of Peter Mandelson?
There are definitely more questions for Keir Starmer, and I'd go further than that. I'd say there are specific questions for Morgan McSweeney, his Chief of Staff, because we know that when the appointment was being made, it was McSweeney, who was a big ally of Peter Mandelson, who really pushed that appointment through. And I think the first thing that will happen is, there will be renewed pressure on Peter Mandelson to resign from the House of Lords, because there's a current line being floated by his allies that because he's on a leave of absence and he won't go back, therefore that's okay. But I have to say I find that really unpalatable, because on a leave of absence, a peer still can retain his title, he can still bring guests into the House of Lords, he can still use a lot of the facilities. So it's pretty much everything apart from the responsibility of having to vote, attending, and having to make declarations about your finances. So let's see how that plays out. And then separately, there will be questions about Keir Starmer's judgment and McSweeney. And I suspect what might end up happening is allies of Keir Starmer protect the Prime Minister might start putting this more at the door of McSweeney, and you might start to see the left of the party, the so-called soft left, who are already pretty unhappy, they might see this as an opportunity to finally get rid of their nemesis McSweeney, because there are a lot of MPs who continue to think that the problem is McSweeney, not even Keir Starmer himself.
Yeah, and that ties very neatly into this question about Angela Rayner and the future of the party, the direction of travel. We'll keep a close eye on that, Anna. I want to ask you finally, I mean, you have only just got back from China yesterday morning. The perception of that trip while you've been away is that perhaps Number 10 hasn't achieved a huge amount of tangible wins. But what was the mood on the trip, and how successful does Keir Starmer think it's been?
The mood on the trip was very happy with the trip. I spoke to multiple members of Keir Starmer's inner circle who were on that trip with him. A senior Downing Street figure said that they thought the trip had gone as well as it could possibly have gone, so it met the top end of their expectations. They thought Starmer did a good job. They also thought that the Chinese responded in a way that they were very happy about. I think it's important to point out that the main objective for a lot of them within Number 10 of this trip was a reset of relations. They didn't particularly see it as something that they would come away with lots and lots of agreements or trade agreements. It was more of resetting something that had been, as they kept saying, on ice. Yeah. So I think on that objective, almost certainly it was a success if you take it on those measurements. But the question remains, is that a valid judgment, and is that naive in terms of how you approach China, which so many people continue to warn about as a threat? On the delegation, because obviously we were also speaking to the business people there, they were also happy, and they all want the UK to engage more. But of course it's in their very specific interest to do so.
Anna, thank you very much, and thank you for travelling almost direct from China.
You did a great job in China as well.
Into the studio.
I'll give you a little snippet from the flight back. Obviously, the flight was 15 hours because you can't fly over Russia, so we had to go all the way around through the international date line, past Alaska, and that's a very long flight. We've set up in the evening, and everyone followed advice from Jonathan Powell, no less, the National Security Advisor, who told everyone how to deal with the jet lag. So the key is to sleep in the second half of the flight, and everyone followed it.
There you go. No doubt helped by a cheeky drink on board the plane.
No comment.
No comment. Anna Mikhailova, our political editor, thank you very much. And the Prime Minister is going to be making a statement about that China trip. He probably won't get a victory lap, but you'll hear more from him later on today, around 3:30, depending on urgent statements.